T. Allen Greenfield is a UFO researcher and author who's been investigating the Men in Black phenomenon for decades, and he knows just how far they'll go to silence people who know too much.
There is a tendency to believe that the best cases about the Men in Black are old cases. A lot of the later cases don't get the same kind of publicity for one simple reason. Most of the people who specialized in investigating Men in Black died off mysteriously. And none of them were older than their 40s or 50s. The people who got the closest to the truth died.
One famous ufologist is the legendary author Morris K. Jessup, a pioneer. He wrote numerous books, and some researchers believe that when he got too close to the truth, the Men in Black silenced him once and for all.
Jessup wrote a book called The Case for the UFOs. Supposedly, this perfectly well-balanced man who had no reason to commit suicide was suicided. He supposedly had asphyxiated himself in a car. Apparently, with such an elaborate way of doing it, it was obviously done by a third party or parties who had reason for Mr. Jessup to appear to have committed suicide. Police investigating on the scene said that it appeared to be a murder faked as a suicide. I believe that he was murdered because he had stumbled upon something in his book. He was a victim of what we can call the Men in Black.
Another case of a UFO researcher dying an untimely death, allegedly at the hands of the Men in Black, is Frank Edwards.
Edwards was at one time a very famous mutual radio network broadcaster who was indeed talking a lot about UFOs. His life was threatened. He ignored it. He continued to broadcast, and then he wrote Flying Saucers, Serious Business.
Right.
It's the only one that made the New York Times bestseller list, sold over 1 million copies. Not too long after that, he turned to his wife and said, "Mary, I have the strangest feeling," and dropped cold dead.
Was a cause of death ever determined?
They said heart failure, but he didn't have any of the usual symptoms one would associate with a heart attack. I think it was some sort of poisoning of sorts, and it was a warning to all of us who were serious about ufology.
Officials ruled the cause of Frank Edwards' death an apparent heart attack. However, medically, an apparent heart attack and an actual heart attack are two different things entirely.
And shortly after that, strike three hit. Jim Keith wrote a book called Casebook of the Men in Black, and he died of a wrenched ankle. Nothing else wrong with it. Young man in great health, strained his ankle, and was dead.
According to recent studies, simple injuries like ankle sprains can increase the risk of blood clots, simply because blood tends to stagnate in the injured area. So dying from an ankle sprain, although rare, is possible.
Maybe he had a blood clot, maybe he didn't. The probability is he died because he talked too much about the Men in Black. Always good to see you, and just be careful.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you very much.